Now,
And then like
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
we all have different experiences together.
just a minute away.
Yeah, no, that's what I was checking.
I probably would have done it sooner.
When we arrived.
Yeah, 'cause there was 1,000 people.
Wow.
But I'm just set away from the read out and
And that's next to it.
I did one last night, one question.
Yeah, but
yes,
the hand
I
over
think I'll
me
just
to see.
chip away.
Chip away at it.
And then I'll print it off and have another look.
That's what I did. I printed off about it.
Yeah.
I was like, why can't I think? Why can't
No, we don't.
What'd you drink? Carrot
Okay,
beer?
welcome everybody to the August 1 infrastructure meeting. Welcome to those streaming in.
Proud mum.
Right, we're going to start off the meeting with apologies, and we have a few. We have Mayor Clark, Councillor Arnold, Councillor Campbell, Councillor Soper, and Reverend Cook. Can I have someone please move those?
No.
Moved Grant, seconded Darren. Put that, all those in favour.
Aye.
There are no one's zooming in. There is no public forum today. Right, we're going to start with the minutes of the Waste Advisory Group from 26th of June. Can I have someone move that? Thank you, Grant. Thanks, Trish. Put that, all those in favour.
Aye.
And then we have the minutes of the infrastructure meeting from...
Can I ask a couple of questions on those minutes?
Yes, you certainly can, sorry.
Yeah, so just on the bottom of page 5, the Ministry for Environment's presentation.
Yep.
Can that be put in the resource library on board books? I'll be quite keen to have a look at that, and I think we all should be having a look at that.
Yeah, that can certainly be done.
No, we can
Yep,
certainly do that.
we've done that. Yeah, so that's actually a good point, because it was in the full minutes of the WasteNet meeting we had last Monday, but it didn't carry through
No.
to here. No.
Yeah, so it'd be good. And then secondly, sorry, Chair, reasoning for waste landfill trend. Where's that information come from? So on page 7 of Bull Books, it says increased consumer spending post-COVID, high-value plastic fibre. Where's that information come from?
That is a good question. I asked the same question. There is no, I'm not sure where the data comes for, the economics of it, you mean?
Well, no, just in terms of, is that what is actually happening? Is that where waste increases are coming from, or is that just someone dreaming it up, or is it?
It's a tough one. Erin, do you want to answer that?
Here.
Thank you, Chair. If we're asking, have we got data that's backing that up within WasteNet? No, we don't. What we're talking to is the trends that we're being advised of nationally and whether or not they fit with our experience.
Right. So do we think they fit with our experience, or we don't know?
We do think that they fit with our experience, that our trends are sitting fairly similar to what we're seeing across the country.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Ria?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just looking at those minutes from the meeting of the 26th of June, and I'm a little bit uncomfortable when I come down to Section 2 funding for improvements to recycled self-palletiser plant. And I just wanted to ask some questions. My understanding was that when we had our meeting here, that our team was going to go back to that meeting, and we were asking for the $80,000 from the allocation to come back to ICC. And then I see that there was a resolution made there. And then in our next series of minutes, there's a different outcome to what we went to the table with in the first place. So I guess where I'm feeling quite uncomfortable actually. And I'm wondering along the lines of back to what I originally asked some time ago, what is the long-term strategic benefit of us belonging to WasteNet when we're quite clear in our directive about what this council has requested and it comes back in bite-sized pieces?
I think it'd be good to talk about this, but unfortunately, I think you've jumped into PE.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was like, that's not in
very
this
apologetic.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That is not in this minutes.
Very apologetic.
Because I marked that too. I was looking.
Yeah. So
I've jumped a thing. I'm very
No, that's
sorry.
okay.
I
That's
will
okay.
save that for the correct area.
yeah. No, that's all right. No.
Out of public.
Yes.
Right.
As I said, I
We'll get
apologise.
back to chapter 1. Okay, so you're right, Grant. So, did we move into
All done.
All done. Right. That moves us on to the minutes of the Infrastructure Committee, July 11th. Can someone move there true and correct, please? Thanks, Grant. Thanks, Darren. Put that. All those in favour.
Aye.
That's carried. Move now to the minutes from the public section of the WasteNet Committee meeting held last Monday. Can I have...
Happy to move those.
yeah,
Mr.
thank
Chair.
you, Alex. Seconded Trish.
Yep.
All those in favour?
No.
That's carried. Now it moves on to the activities report. So it's quite diverse, this. Who would like to tackle?
I'm happy to speak to it.
Do you want to start with the cleaning contract or the...
Look, to be honest, I'd take the report as read in general. I won't speak to each item. Probably the key item that I would like to speak to is the Stead Street update, because even now that's a little bit out of date. This was the information that we had from Environment Southland on that site about 48 hours prior to the report going out. On Friday last week, we were advised that the next stages of traffic management that were planned for the site, which Environment Southland had hoped would allow that site to go back to 2 lanes in early August, is not going to work the way they'd hoped, which means that now we will be well into probably late September before that site returns to 2 lanes.
Okay, look, I've got a question, and I spoke to Russell earlier today about it. It's regarding the management of the actual traffic lights and how they're put into operation. Now, I was of the understanding that at peak times they were manned, and then being manned, you had that human eye over things that would work out. There's a lot of cars coming in the morning, and there's not many going out, so we're going to run the lights that way and clear the traffic. But unfortunately, this morning it was just on automatic, and cars were backed up at 8:30 all the way to Marama Ave South. So that's a long way down Stead Street, and there was no one manning it. Russell, did you find out any information about that, or?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I have spoken to the project manager who's working on behalf of ES, and they do have a person who works, I guess, who controls the traffic signals during those peak periods, but we couldn't necessarily identify what occurred this morning. But they do have a physical person with a controller that, I guess, looks at the queues to minimise those queues. So for some reason it hasn't worked that well this morning, but my understanding was there was someone on site, and they did recall buses going through. So it's certainly a thing that they are keeping working on. But the idea being is that we have manual control during the period from about 7:20 in the morning through to about 9 o'clock, and then from mid-afternoon about 3:30 through to close to 6. So they do control that a longer period to do that. So.
Yeah, well, so this morning you had cars from the traffic light all the way to Marama Ave South, and on the other side, heading into Ototara, there were 2 cars. And yeah, that's not really operating correctly.
What we do is, I guess, from council's perspective, it's an ES site, and we continue to pass all of those issues back onto them and continue to, I guess, monitor and check with them that they are actually operating the site as best they can to minimise the disruption to the traffic.
They don't need to come in and talk to us at all? Or?
I'm sure they will if you would like them to, but I think it's an operational issue that we just need to keep them up to speed, and the wider public. I guess the things that we do see are there's a little bit of, I guess, the frustration from some drivers who are choosing to not follow the stoplights, and I guess that's a problem. But my understanding is the police they've been in contact with the police, and they'll be monitoring the site. So that's a thing for general people. But you're right, the ES need to make sure that that is minimised as best they can during the time the project's operating.
No, that's good. Sorry, just Darren next, but Erin, do you want to go?
I was just going to say, I think in fairness to Environment Southland, it's always going to be a difficult site to manage stop-go traffic in a different way. And, I think some mornings it's working effectively and some mornings the traffic's a bit different and it's not working as well as it should. And I guess what I'd say to that is we envisioned that when we were doing the Stead Street work, and that's why we went about it the way we did with Stead Street, with it being a much bigger site. This is a smaller site, but it's working well some days, but it is still encountering some of those problems on other days. And I don't know that there's a magic bullet that the Environment Southland team will be able to do to deal with that.
I think in response to that, though, if they say they're going to have it manned during those peak times, which makes sense, and then like this morning it wasn't manned, then what do we do? And we obviously, it works when it's manned, and it doesn't work when it's unmanned.
I don't think this morning was the first morning that things would be backed up to Marama Ave at 8:30. It's happening reasonably frequently.
Yeah. Okay. Darren.
Question for Erin. Thanks, Chair. Erin, did ES give a reason as to why we've pushed out from early August to now late September?
And look, they're talking about it being a September date. I guess what we'd say is, let's be a little bit flexible around when in September. But essentially it's around, and Russell will jump in if I get that wrong, they were hoping to be able to fit the 2 lanes plus the cycleway into that area. And what they've found is to keep the cycleway open, which needs to happen as a requirement of COPTM. They're not able to accommodate both of those lanes within the width.
Okay.
The only thing I'd add on that, and make sure the site is safe while they're trying to construct it.
Yeah.
Grant.
Just with that, Erin, so we're updating the public through comms around the finish date that's moved.
What we're doing is passing on the comms from Environment Southland.
Yes.
So we're trying not to get ahead of them, and we're prompting them at times around the comms.
Cool.
But once an update comes through from them, their comms team, then we push that out on our social media as well.
So, same question another way. So the residents of Otatawa, the people that are being affected, they're aware of there's been a change in the date of completion. So
I don't believe that's been communicated yet.
I'm sorry, hold it before Alex says someone.
Yeah.
Russell, are you asking
We
someone?
can confirm that.
I know that it was on social media over the weekend that
Was it,
that,
Russell?
that delay has been
I missed
has occurred and it came out of ES's comms team, I think,
Yeah, cool. Okay.
and it was linked to our page, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know it's obviously an ES site and the traffic management is up to them. They're telling us it's manned, it's not, it's that kind of thing. The wider public, if they haven't seen social media, they're not going to know that it's Environment Southland. They're just going to see roadworks and Stead Street and automatically default to the fact it's our fault. Is there not something that we can do to expedite or apply pressure or man it ourselves or something in the mornings, in the evenings to make that traffic flow faster? Because it's a community benefit or community, connectivity issue rather than a site management issue as well.
I think in fairness, the contractors that they're using are the contractors that we'd be using as well. I don't think that they're doing anything particularly different to what we would be. Noting that
there's nothing we can do.
On a site, things don't always go perfectly, and there are some days where you don't get it right.
So nothing we can do.
I do think that they're providing appropriate responsiveness when we go to them with questions, and they are trying to change things to make the site function better, if not perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a valid question, though. If we know that being manned makes it work, and you've got 90% of vehicles coming in from Otatawa in the morning, then it makes sense to allow that to happen rather than an automatic system that lets 10 go each time. So hopefully that is what we're going to see. That's what they've been telling you.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think we continue to encourage them to actually operate in a way that actually minimises that disruption. And I'll certainly be ringing them, and I think every time I get contact from somebody, I ring their project manager so they know that people are watching and asking that we actually get it as right as we can. But certainly there are other periods of time where there are some pressures. But equally, I think people just need to also, we've been there a little while, and I guess the wider message is that plan your journey. There are alternatives, and I guess the use of Bay Road is actually a really wise time because you do get certainty of travel.
So we haven't had any feedback from the airport where the queues come back. I struck it to Collins Street one night, but
Nothing directly.
no, nothing from the airport. No, people missing flights. Grant.
Yeah, well, the Bay Road option is not actually that great option
Yeah,
because of
that's-
the left turn. I know that's being resolved and it may be different now, but it hasn't been up till now.
It certainly has been a little bit difficult with two sites operating yet.
Okay, rightio. Any further discussion on other aspects of the activity report? Darren.
Just a question for Russell while he's there around these school speed management signs. Russell, when's this tranche likely to be completed for the 7 schools we've got listed?
The current tranche is most of the fittings are in, so those signs will be up in the next short time, and we're sort of trying to block them into each of the periods just before I guess the idea had been to have them operating when the school holidays return. So each term we're going to roll out the next wave of them across the city, and I guess the fortunate thing is we are reasonably well advanced to get those signs. We have them available and be able to start installing them, so we're well ahead of many other cities in that space.
Thanks, Russell.
Grant.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I've got a few questions, so bear with me. The laboratory report,
Yeah.
the minor corrective actions, is there anything here that's material that we need to be aware of?
No, it was just a few minor things around suggestions on paperwork and record keeping. Nothing enough to give us an X, just suggested improvements.
And nothing that could lead to sort of an incident around
No.
human.
No, not at all.
Okay.
And then that obviously recommendation that they make goes back to Tamara Arawai
Yes.
to give that formalised certification.
Yeah, okay, thank you. The double glazing project, how did we decide that was the best project, the better off funding? Was there a prioritisation or was it?
I would perhaps might have to get Michael to speak to that one because I was on leave last year when it was decided. I understand there were a number of projects that were put into the mix, and then it was decided what was achievable within the time frame and best outcome. I understand. Michael will correct me if I'm wrong around how we chose the glazing project for the better off funding.
Through yourself, Chair. Can you just repeat the question that you've asked?
How did we decide that the double glazing project was the highest priority or the best bang for buck in terms of our better off funding? And probably thinking, just to give you a bit of around our well-beings, like was that where we get the best return in our social or cultural well-being piece by doing that project?
Yeah, through yourself, Chair. Look, that was an interesting process that led to us going for that particular project. It's fair to say that we did a full exercise in relation to a number of pieces of work that could go through the better off funding. Yeah. This one did go down to that it was aligned with not only what we were wanting to achieve in relation to improving our housing stock, but also aligned with what Mana Whenua were wanting to do in relation to supporting improving the state of housing across and getting warm homes. Yeah. So that was primarily what it was, because we already had other projects in the tow with around increasing the stock and with also healthy homes. So this was about complementing those and actually what was shovel ready and that we could actually get going as quick as possible. So it was primarily around what can we actually get off the ground as quick as possible and had some significant value in line with that.
Yeah, cool. Great. Okay, thank you. It'd just be good perhaps to see in future reports, how that talks to one of our one of our 4 priorities within our long-term plan, just so that we can be reassured, I suppose, that the investments we're making fit in with what we're trying to achieve. Might be some feedback on the transport choices. Again, same question around the priorities, but in particular referencing point 3 around the pump track at Aurora. We had a discussion at, I think, the last council meeting around, was that the best site for that? And I've engaged a few in the community around that, and having been to the opening of the pump track at Bluff last weekend, or weekend before, sorry, that's an awesome resource. It'd be great to have it in the right place in South City. So I'll be interested to know, why we've decided Aurora is the place. I know there was some explanation around available land. The size of a pump track's not that big. The community seems to think there's other better sites for that. So I'd be interested in the decision-making process around that, or is that just still up for decision?
It's not our decision. It's being administered by Healthy Families.
No.
Active Southland.
No. This is actually, we're making an investment. So it's not the pump track that's moving around Southland. It's actually we're going to put a pump track in South City.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
Sorry, are you talking about the temporary
No,
pump track or
the permanent one that's proposed for South City?
Okay, so that would be a separate process.
Newby Street.
Yeah.
Newby Street. Yeah.
Russell,
Go
you
for it.
obviously.
Mr. Chair, as part of our proposal to the Wakatahi to gain our funding, we worked with Active Southland to actually look at, I guess, a range of options for delivery of certain services, and they had recommended to us as part of that process that a pump track at Aurora College would be a resource that had been being discussed for the I guess the southern part of our city. Within the school grounds, they had some, I guess, had identified that as a high potential site. So that's really why it was put on our list through the proposal.
Yeah. So Wakatahi decides what our community need is.
No, that was part of our proposal to them, and they validated that they accepted our proposal. It doesn't mean to say we couldn't change it, but I guess that's where we brought forward a proposal seeking funding for all of those projects as a package. Which
But
included,
in terms of the temporary locations, I think to
Sorry.
Darren's point, the temporary locations are driven by Active Southland.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not.
Yeah.
That's a separate issue.
But are
which
you
is
talking about when
the
we're talking
permanent
about a
facility.
permanent one
Yeah,
in the
and-
South City?
And my concern
That's a
is,
different-
we haven't. I'm not convinced that we've actually understood what the community need is, or where that is best positioned. Not just around a pump track, but the wider social benefit and that can be gained for the community by having a facility like that where families can congregate, and then you get additional benefit or other service provision or use because you've got it in the right place. And I'm not sure at Aurora.
So that's one that, in terms of that permanent location, that's one we'd need to go back to the parks team around, because that permanent pump track piece sits within the community wellbeing side, as opposed to this piece that sits within infrastructure. And
We're just going to have Steve jump in.
Yeah, thanks. I think to add to Russell's point, the location has been driven through conversations with the community through Active Southland, and so there is a degree of feedback that location is actually well suited. The service in there is a gap, and so I think there is a community need there, Councillor, and so we are being driven by that. But if you would want a bit more information, I can make sure our team can bring back a bit of a verbal update through the activity report next week around the degree of feedback we've had.
Yeah, well, I'd be quite keen to see who you've actually got feedback from, because I've gone and done some consultation with community, and the feedback's very strong that it's actually better to be somewhere else, not at Aurora, and just simply for how it'll be used and who will use it. Because a pump track's not something that high school kids are going to use. It's your younger kids that are going to use it with your scooters and your up to about your 14, 15s. It's not your 13s to 18-year-olds.
I think the other piece that I'd add is that we obviously got some strong feedback, as I understand it, around the Otatara pump track, around it being in the wrong place as well whilst it was being developed. But once it was actually opened, there was definitely a real positive outcome for it. So I suppose some people will support some locations and others will support other locations as well.
So yeah, final question or final sort of point is what I want to be assured of is it's not just situating a pump track. It's actually it's an investment we're making in South City. Where is the best place to make that investment? Not just for kids to use and families to use, but what other benefits can we get for that community? And then where is the right place? So, you know, that's the thing I think we need to be really clear on.
Right. Any any other comments or questions in the activity report? Grant.
Yeah, thanks. Great to see some progress, Russell, on the Mill Road, North Bainfield Road thing. I think, you know, a lot of people have probably seen the footage of that and it's confronting. So thank you for pushing that to the top of the agenda and starting to get a resolution.
And Mr. Chair, it's one of those areas that we've had concerns for a period of time, and we will continue to monitor and work on it because we certainly have some, I guess, some behaviours and some outcomes at that intersection that are not very great at all, and we need to find ways to stop people. I guess where there's a stop sign, the message has to be, you must stop your vehicle. Full stop. There is no but.
Yeah.
When you see those videos, you realise that the consequence of not can be huge.
Yes. So yeah, thank you for that.
Okay. Right. Just one question on the school, the signs. Who controls when they are actually activated? Because I struck in the school holidays, James Hargis telling me to drop to 30k, and it was school holidays.
That's a really good question, Mr. Chair. They do operate from I guess, a website, so the schools can, will be pre-programmed for the calendar year so that they go on and off, so we don't actually leave them to the school's administration to run, which, like our other signs that we've had up, we've often just had a remote that they turn them on and off, and it's pretty hit and miss, but we'll have them programmed so they will be on specific days and off when
Right. Yeah, I know. I was just wondering. It was quite clear it was school holidays, and yet they were flashing on 30k's.
Some of the new signs have even got some of the smarter things, so they do record speed on some of them too, so we can get information in future data. So.
Right. No, excellent. Right. Last call. Right. We have 3 recommendations there, and to receive the report, to note the IANZ outcome of the Three Waters lab audit, and also to note the interim steps being done to help solve the Mill Road, North Bainfield Road, Fairweather Road traffic issues. Move that. Trish, seconded. Panya, I'll put that. All those in favour?
Aye.
They are carried. Now, can I have someone, that's the end of the public session, can I have someone please move, we go into public exclusion? Move Peter, seconded Grant, put that. All those in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you for those who have been streaming in.